In case you missed it, the news wrote, the reinvestigation of Tupac's murder is revealing new names and evidence of those involved. One new name brought up is Suge Knight, as this already caught the attention of Eminem, who said, in quote, I'm holding Suge responsible for the deaths of the two greatest rappers to ever grace the face of the planet. If only the late, great Mr. Christopher Wallace, aka Biggie Smalls, could talk, he could tell you himself, I'm holding Suge responsible for the death of Ja Rule or anyone else that's down with the row. As according to the new police records, it reads, Detective Russell Poole suspected that Suge Knight arranged Tupac's murder before he can exit the label Death Row, then framed the rival Crips to throw off investigators, which raises the question of who's a famous Crip gang member that Suge Knight's pinning the Tupac murder on. According to Mike Dorsey, Diddy is a part of the Crips, and in case you missed it, the news just wrote, former LAPD cop claims that Diddy had Tupac dealt with for $1 million, Suge then retaliated by having Biggie dealt with, as Diddy allegedly hired Keefe D to go get Tupac. Then after roaming the streets freely for 20 years, the police then finally arrested Keefe D and he did an interrogation. He didn't even know it was being recorded when confessing Diddy was the lead man of the crime.
On all four of those occasions, there's San Diego, Anaheim, Irvine, and Vegas, which ones do you actually talk to Puffy at?
Every one.
Every one of them. Which of those four is it when you talk to him about murdering Tupac?
It was really about both of them, either one. It was
Tupac and Suge, you mean?
Yeah,
As during the Diddy trial this week, he was questioned on his involvement. The news wrote, Diddy faces questions about his alleged role in Tupac's murder after being mentioned 77 times in a new legal filing. As Keefe D, the hired hitman of the crime, said that everything was Diddy's wish. He even explained that it happened so fast, all because Tupac was originally reaching for his firearm when he passed away.
You said that as you're driving up towards the BMW with Suge driving and Tupac in the passenger seat, and you said that Tupac pulled out a...
It looked like he was reaching, yeah. Yeah, it did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you actually...
Once he got the reaching, I got the ducking.
So someone from your car
That's what I
started at Tupac and Suge.
As Tupac already knew something was about to go down, the courtroom began to get emotional knowing Tupac knew what was about to happen to him. As with this going viral online, 50 Cent reacted sharing,
I hate when they leave me to talk because I always say the wrong thing. I was like, last time they left me, I said something about Puffy. You saw that? You saw that clip? Yeah! I gotta stop doing that kind of shit. I've been talking to a therapist to try to help me with the I'm saying. I said crazy no reason. Oh wait, maybe I said it to my boyfriend because he got Tupac killed.
where Eminem would then react on his song titled Fuel, where he raps the lyrics, I ain't trying to beef with him, cause he might put a hit on me like Keefe D did him, and that's the only way you're gonna be getting me. Calling out Diddy for putting a hit on Tupac by using Keefe D and his gang. This would then be followed up with times that people confronted Diddy about being responsible for Tupac's death, which would end up resulting in this awkward Breakfast Club interview showing that Diddy knows what he did.
Now, it was this documentary that claimed, which we know wasn't true.
Yeah, check this out. We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there, with all due respect, but I appreciate you as a journalist asking. Thank you.
Because you, listen, 7 years ago, I'd have been like, yo, did you hire somebody? But no, you do it like a journalist.
Yeah, no, I mean, we wouldn't even get into nonsense like that. You know what I'm saying? It's nonsense.
Which we never believed, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
But what's even scarier is investigators don't believe that Diddy acted alone, that this was a much larger rap industry hit on Tupac, which was all from Suge Knight, Diddy, and also Snoop Dogg. And let me explain. As if you didn't know, the news wrote, new updates are happening in Tupac's murder case. Rappers in the industry from Snoop Dogg, Suge Knight, and Diddy are all about to be arrested and questioned, all having ties within the Death Row record label. Fans believe that Snoop Dogg is ultimately responsible for Tupac's death after the new evidence was found, which begins with this interview where Snoop Dogg himself reveals that he was supposed to be in the BMW with Tupac and Suge Knight on the night that he sadly died.
You were with Tupac, though, in regards to Tupac. I heard a story, did you give him different advice that night on where to go?
I didn't give him no advice.
Right.
We wasn't seeing eye to eye.
Right.
So.
Saying during the Tyson.
Yeah, this incident that I'm explaining to you right now was the day before that.
Okay.
So when they got to Vegas, they went their way, I went back. I mean, when we got to LA, they went to Vegas and I went home. That's why I wasn't in the car with them.
As Snoop mentions that he was supposed to be in the BMW, but after last minute changes, he didn't go. This was likely due to Snoop, Tupac, and Suge having an altercation only 24 hours prior.
The last time me and Tupac was on the same page, and I did an interview with Angie Martinez, and she asked me, how did I feel about Puffy and Biggie? And I told her that I liked their music and I want to do music with them. Bro didn't like that, Tupac didn't like that, so we had a misunderstanding. So on the flight back to LA, I didn't feel comfortable around them for what they had did, as far as I didn't let my security ride with me. So to protect myself and to, prevent from happening, I slept under a blanket with the knife and the fork just in case something was to go wrong, but it didn't.
With all of this happening within 48 hours, even the police were starting to get suspicious about Snoop Dogg and Suge Knight's involvement. As police investigation shows, Snoop Dogg was heavily tapped into the streets 2 decades ago. Many speculate he could have received a tip that Tupac was going to be targeted on this night, so he avoided on getting in the car. But the feds then found another interview where Snoop Dogg claims 2 days before Tupac sadly passed, Snoop felt like Tupac hated him.
I say a week before he died, we was best of friends. 2 days before he died, I don't think he liked me.
Why?
Because we was in New York.
Oh, yeah.
And it happened. New York, they shot at me and did all kind of shit to me, like just the worst you could think of. And I forgave him. And went and did an interview and was asked, how do I feel about Puffy and Biggie? And I was like, I like them. I want to do some music with them. And that just rubbed Cuz the wrong way, like tried to me, out at you, and you talking about you want to do a song with it. I wasn't thinking about his emotions. I was thinking about the way I felt at the time. I wasn't into no controversy. I liked his music. They was our friends. We was all friends at one point. This video footage of all of us hanging out.
However, the physical evidence within the Diddy trial would give the courtroom the chills, as it would end up revealing the truth. Keefe D would even explain how Tupac was taken out by Diddy's wish, stating that on September 7th, 1996, when Tupac was in Las Vegas with the head of his record label named Suge Knight, he was being followed throughout the entire night. The two were off at the MGM Grand. They were watching a Mike Tyson match, as after it was over, they ended up running into the ops that were tailing them the entire day.
Suge Knight and their entourage went to the Mike Tyson at the MGM Grand. Keefe D and his nephew, Orlando Lane Anderson, and 2 of their friends were also there. Keefe D told LAPD Detective Greg Kading more than a decade ago, in a proffer that couldn't be used against him, the shooting was retaliation after Tupac jumped Orlando and beat him up at the casino. Surveillance cameras recorded the fight. Tupac was angry that Lane had stolen his necklace years prior in Compton. Tupac, Suge Knight, and the entourage left the casino quickly.
Security would end up breaking up the altercation between Tupac, Suge, and the ops, but it resulted in Tupac and Suge needing to go back to their hotel to change their clothes. The two would then go off, change their clothing, and then head out at around 11 p.m., hopping into the black BMW and beginning to drive down the Las Vegas Strip. Being stopped at a red light, the same people that they ran into in the club at the MGM Grand would end up pulling up on them at the red light.
Knew about Tupac's concert at the Club 662. Members, including Orlando and Keefe D, jumped in their white Cadillac and started cruising the strip looking for the offender. Before long, they finally spotted Tupac's caravan. At the intersection of East Flamingo Boulevard and Koval Lane, the white Cadillac pulled alongside the black BMW with Suge on the driver and Tupac on the passenger seats. The back window of the Cadillac rolled twice in the chest, once in the arm, once in the thigh.
The aftermath of the incident, however, was a mystery for 2 decades. The police case went cold, they didn't know where to look, until suddenly, a man named Keefe D began just doing random interviews online, practically admitting to being involved in Tupac's murder. The Las Vegas police would then open up a subsection of officers to basically follow Keefe D. As on DJ Vlad's show, there's an interview where he literally details the moments of finding Tupac and doing the crime.
And Bubble Up was the driver, and Baby Lane and Freaky were in the back seat.
We was just all in the car together. Just say that.
This was the white Cadillac.
Yeah.
So you guys are driving around, and then you hear these girls say, Tupac, Tupac.
Got to the light. We was gonna go drink, and he happened to be hanging out the window. He's hanging out the window like he was in a parade.
Tupac.
Yeah, he was.
So what happens next? You said that as you're driving up towards the BMW, with Suge driving and Tupac in the passenger seat.
Mind you, the case was cold for 2 decades. Keefe D would have to share some sort of evidence to prove his claims of being involved, where he would then release a never-before-seen police interrogation on the night the crime occurred.
Lane starts. You say Suge looks over, he sees you. He looks right at you.
Yeah, he looks at me.
Okay. When he looks over at you, and then, Tupac's busy getting evidently, the story is Tupac's trying to either get out of the line.
back seat or something.
Yeah, what do you see happening inside of their car?
I seen him going Suge head. I thought he was.
So Orlando across Dre?
He leaned over on the window, we rolled down the window.
Further proving his involvement, Keefe D would then even share his own reaction to Tupac passing away, showing his true emotions.
Yeah, I hate that happened, dog. I really do, man. Cause it took a lot of people's lives, dude. I hate it happened. Probably to God. I feel that was wrong, man. It was just purely wrong. You know what I'm saying? I wish it had never happened. You know what I'm saying? That's my opinion on it. It never happened, dude.
Now, this is where the murder files tend to get very weird, and there's many holes within the story, which honestly makes it sound like Tupac is still alive. And let me explain. It starts with an officer revealing Tupac was an industry plant with a job of stopping the beef between the red and blue street teams.
Well, it turns out when I talked to Tupac's longtime mentor, political mentor, former Black Panther Chokwe Lumumba, who was his first business manager, he's told me, I basically asked, well, was Tupac only pretending to be in order to appeal to gangs and politicize them? And he said yes. And that was part of his thug life agenda that he came up with his imprisoned stepfather, Tupac Shakur. And so Tupac was just using that in order to get the leaders to call peace truces, first in Los Angeles, then throughout California, and then throughout the country. And that was why he was pretending to be this type. And really, he was just an intellectual prodigy.
The plan obviously did not work, where he would then suddenly pass away and disappear, with the case never being solved and the police records never being finished. This would also make sense as to why Snoop Dogg didn't want to be near him in Las Vegas. He may have received a tip that Tupac was working with the feds and completely avoided the entire situation. There's a viral thread on Reddit which goes through the entire murder files of Tupac and the evidence the police found of him still being alive. What they wrote was in 2010, there was a rapper named Tretch. He was interviewed on the topic of Tupac before a concert. They also noted Tretch and Tupac were very close friends back in the day, even working on a few albums together and attending birthday parties of each other's families. But here's where it gets weird. In the footage, you can hear the interviewer asking Tretch about Tupac when suddenly the cameraman drops his camera. Thinking he stopped recording, Tretch would respond, "Last time I saw Tupac, he was in Cuba."
So if you ain't ready for it, get on the sidewalk.
One last question.
Nobody knows. Y'all good?
Yeah, we good. Thanks a lot, man.
We good. Last time I saw him, he was in church.
When suddenly only 1 week later, a video would be released onto a news website showing a video of Tupac supposedly in a parking lot inside of Cuba.
Look, zoom in. That's Pac, man. He with the outlaws. And Reg from Holla Back is trying to be friendly and get autographs. Holla Back exclusive, baby. Holla Back.
But the very scary part is, Suge Knight also agrees that Tupac is alive and well. He has said so in many interviews over the last 2 decades now, where one interview in particular makes a very convincing case towards it, where he would reveal Tupac was doing fine in the hospital before passing away, stating in quote, "When I left that hospital, me and Tupac were laughing and joking. I don't see how someone can turn from doing so well to doing bad."
I mean, when I left that hospital, me and Pac was laughing and joking. So I don't see how somebody can turn from doing well doing bad.
So you seriously think that he might still be alive?
I'm gonna tell you this, Pac, you never know.
But what's odd about this is, according to police records, they stated that Tupac was in a coma when arriving to the hospital. So how in the world would he and Suge be laughing if Tupac was unconscious? It doesn't seem to add up. However, in a 2008 interview, 10 years apart, Suge Knight said the exact same thing, that Tupac was alive and well.
So he was conscious on the way to the hospital?
He was conscious on the way to the hospital. He was conscious in the ambulance. He was conscious after they did the surgery.
What was the last thing that he said to you?
They left.